Is Georgia full of rednecks? Does Atlanta have the worst traffic on earth? And does everyone in Georgia hunt?
We're going to answer those questions and more. So get out your sweet tea and your southern hospitality. We're fixing to unbox the state of Georgia.
Okay, look at that. What a pretty landscape. We're in the mountains of North Georgia in the Chattahoochee National Forest. As the name suggests, this is a Native American word, and Alan Jackson made the river that flows through here famous with his song by the same name. But is Georgia just backwoods, mountains, and redneck farms? Nope, there's Atlanta too. That's it, Atlanta and camouflage as far as the eye can see. Video's over, see y'all next time. No, you can clearly see this video is more than just a minute long. Georgia actually has a lot of stuff worth talking about. Kinda. Sorta. To really understand Georgia, we need to get a complete big picture overview of this fine state and then drill down into its various smaller regions. This is Georgia. Now you'll notice right away there's rednecks and military people all over. If you added all the rednecks, the military people, and Atlanta residents up, that would be like 90% of the whole state. But we'll get into all that later. We're going to start by going back up to northern Georgia, which is mostly just some small redneck towns. Now there's rednecks, and then there's rednecks. Northern Georgia is where all the real rednecks live.
Some people way back in these hills are so backwards they shoot at ambulances. Many could be classified as hillbillies.
And, you may not believe it, but the Hispanic population's growing fast up in this part of the state. Up here in Dalton, where they make carpets, it's about half Hispanic, and some of the street signs are in Spanish. Nearby Calhoun is also very Hispanic. Over here is the Chattahoochee National Forest, which is where the Appalachian Trail ends, or starts, depending on where you start. Georgia's mountains are at the far end of the Appalachian Mountains. Up here, some mountain towns, places with populations under 1,000 people. There's also some resorts where you can stay if you want to explore nature and look at waterfalls and hike around. It's all very fun. The movie Deliverance was filmed in Rabun County. It's the story about city slicker adventurers who wind up getting stalked by rednecks. The banjo-playing kid in the movie was a local who didn't even know how to play the banjo, so they had a real banjo player stick his arms through the kid's shirt. Fun fact. It's not all rednecks, though. There's some really fancy homes along some of Georgia's mountain lakes, places that serve as second homes, and that are far out of reach for people like you and me. And this whole area has become much more modernized to bring in additional tourism revenue to the state. This began in the 1990s under former Governor Zell Miller. Up over here is Athens, Georgia. This is home to the University of Georgia, which has a lot of hipsters. The College Rock radio station started in Athens, and the area was home to bands like REM and the B-52s.
Of course, college football is big here, as it is in most of the state. Just about everybody outside of the Florida-Georgia line supports UGA football big time.
The rest of the area around Athens is rural and very poor. Over here along the South Carolina border on the banks of the Savannah River is Augusta. The city of 200,000 people is southern charming. It's pretty here. There's a river walk and some museums. It's relatively quiet except for when the Masters golf tournament comes to town every April. This is the most prestigious golf tournament in the world. It's attended by mostly rich white people. Lower down on the Savannah River is the city of Savannah. This is where Georgia's coast kind of starts. This is a mostly charming southern city with antebellum homes and cobblestone streets and horses and buggies. It's the oldest city in Georgia and the most visited city by tourists in the state. There's lots of places to watch plays and listen to music, and there's a lot of old historical places like graveyards where Civil War people are buried. While downtown Savannah is beautiful and charming, right outside of downtown is kind of hit and miss. There's some really run-down neighborhoods in and around the Savannah area. Outside of Savannah and along Georgia's coast are small barrier islands, most of which are uninhabited except for waterfowl and marine life. It's pretty marshy along the Georgia coast. There's some charming beach towns here, places like Tybee Island, and then further south in an area called Georgia's Golden Coast. The islands of St. Simons, Little St. Simons, Sea Island, and Jekyll Island make up Georgia's Golden Isles. They call it that because some colonizer back in 1717 called these islands golden to encourage more people to settle here. The sunsets and the sand here have a golden hue too. It's mostly old people and tourists here.
This is where you can escape reality. Or if you live here, then I guess they are your reality.
Right next door to the Golden Isles is the ghetto beach town of Brunswick, a ports town where the crime rate's the 5th highest in the state. You probably don't want to live in Brunswick. Now, South Georgia is different than North Georgia in many ways. You can see here that the state's kind of cut in half geography-wise. This is called the fall line, named because the land kind of falls off from the Piedmont area to the north to the coastal plain area in the south. Down here in the coastal plain is where most of Georgia's agriculture comes from. The state specializes in peanuts and pecans and watermelons. It's known as the peach state, but South Carolina actually grows 3 times more peaches than Georgia does.
And Georgia produces the 4th most blueberries of any other state.
Right here is the Okefenokee Swamp, and it's as scary as the name suggests. It's the biggest swamp in the country. It's filled with everything that a Georgia hunter loves to shoot at. Big old bears, deer, wild hogs, coyotes, gator.
Did you know 5% of people in Georgia have a hunting license?
How would I know that, Mappy? No, actually that's not that many when you consider other states. For instance, in Wyoming, 30% of the population has a hunting license, Mappy. Have you ever shot that thing before? I think you're supposed to use a rifle or a shotgun to hunt.
He doesn't even know how to load that thing.
Oh, good shot, Mappy. I think you owe him an apology.
He shoots blanks in bed, though.
Okay, that's enough from you two. Sometimes, I swear. Back to the state map. In between all the farmland down here are cities with various shades of rednecks and farmers. There might be more black rednecks than white rednecks in this part of the state. Southern Georgia's filled with high school football playing farm boy rednecks. Some of these southern Georgia communities produce some of the best football talent in the nation. The Valdosta Wildcats have the most high school state football championships of any school in the country. It's also home to Moody Air Force Base. Dublin, Georgia was home to the annual Redneck Games, which brought in the finest redneck athletes from rural Georgia into one fantastic weekend. It started in 1996 as a joke because nearby Atlanta was home to the Olympic Games, which hosted actual athletes. But I don't know, I can't tell which ones are more athletic. Can you? Swainsboro is country ghetto with poor white people and black rednecks. Albany is one of the worst places you can live in the state. It's pretty ghetto here too. And the only real place for work is at a Budweiser plant or at the Marine base. Cordele is another smallish city that's known as the watermelon capital of the world because Crisp County grows the most watermelons of any other county in the nation. And only Florida grows more watermelons than Georgia does. Tifton might be the farm capital of the whole state though. They have a big farming school here where farm kids go to learn how to farm better. Statesboro is home to Georgia Southern University, one of the top party schools in the nation. That's because there's nothing to do here but get drunk and go to class, in that order. Central Georgia is also home to Warner Robins, which is home to one of the largest employers of the state, Robins Air Force Base. Nearby Macon's a dump. In fact, Macon might be the worst place you can live in the entire state. It's the most dangerous city in Georgia, where crime and poverty are rampant. Macon's 3 most popular figures are a news anchor, an injury lawyer, and a homeless guy named Homeless Joe. South Macon's the worst part of Macon, where crime per capita rivals the worst parts of Atlanta. North Macon isn't too bad. Macon's trying to improve though. They brought in an Amazon plan, and Geico's main southern hub offers some jobs. But bless your little hearts, Macon, y'all need some TLC. You also have this part of the state to thank for Honey Boo Boo, who hails from McIntyre, Georgia.
If you've ever watched that show, then you have a pretty good idea of the type of people who live in rural central Georgia.
West Georgia is known mainly for Columbus and Fort Benning, a major Army base. There's a lot of Army bros here. While Georgia might have the reputation of being a state that turns out a lot of Army recruits, the state has 3 large Air Force bases too. Down here is Butts County, not worth mentioning except it has a funny name. And now we come to the Atlanta metro area. Hotlanta, the 404 and the 470 and the 678 and the 770. Okay, this place is massive.
This is where all of the people are, people.
Up here in the northern Atlanta burbs are where the rich white people live in the state. Depending on which city you're in up here, either you're very rich or just sorta rich. Cities like Milton are rich, where households bring in about $150K a year. Johns Creek, rich. Dunwoody, rich. Sandy Springs, rich. Alpharetta, rich. Roswell, Peachtree City, Swanee, Woodstock, Flowery Branch, Brazelton. Okay, you get the point. Soccer moms, a bunch of Karens, cougars, mommies who stay home and clean the house while daddy fights traffic in and out of Atlanta every day. That's northern Fulton County. The Atlanta Braves Stadium's out this way. This is the most beloved franchise in the state. followed by the Falcons, who have possibly the worst fan base in the nation due to the fact that fans are always so pessimistic ever since Deion Sanders and Michael Vick left. Over here is DeKalb County, the north side of which is pretty nice, mostly upper-class white people. There's Decatur, a pretty wealthy community about 6 miles outside of downtown. Some people say this is an oasis from Atlanta, a town of art, community involvement, and safety. Now that's the opposite of the south and west side of Atlanta, which has far less to do. Places like College Park and East Point and most places down by the airport are really lousy. The housing stock's old and worn out and poorly maintained. Lots of foreclosures, rentals, bad crime, and you do not want to live here. Unless you do live here, then I guess you do want to live here. Maybe. The west and south sides of Atlanta are far more dangerous and poverty-stricken than its north and east sides. Atlanta's south side is where the rappers live. Clayton County is home to a bunch of crappy rappers. Crappers? Cardi B, Ludacris, T.I., Jeezy, and a bunch of other rappers I've never heard of hail from the ATL. Atlanta's been called the hip-hop capital of America. Atlanta's Hartsfield-Jackson International Airport is massive. It's the busiest airport in the world. Last year, 107 million people flew through here. That was pre-COVID. After that, this place was kind of a ghost town.
Now for a lively lift. Ice-cold Coca-Cola. There's no waistline worry with Coke, you know. Actually, this individual-sized bottle has no more calories than half a grapefruit.
Coca-Cola is based in Atlanta, which is why a lot of people in Georgia drink Coke. They also like Chick-fil-A and Waffle House, which helps explain why this state ranks high in overall obesity. But Atlanta's not just growing fast around the waistband. There's been a huge uptick in jobs, and there's plenty of room to expand the metro area outwards. It's cheap to do business here, so lots of companies are relocating to Atlanta. CNN has its headquarters here, unfortunately for them.
The International Olympic Committee has awarded the 1996 Olympic Games to the city of Atlanta.
Before the Olympics in 1996, Atlanta was in a sorry state, but the Olympics brought international attention to the city, and the city still maintains its very nice-looking Centennial Olympic Park downtown. As a result of the rapid growth, the traffic here is a nightmare. It might be the worst traffic in the nation on some days. It can take 4 hours to go from one end of the metro area to the other at 2 p.m. on a Tuesday. A wreck on I-75 South or I-85 or I-20 will ruin your day.
And there's always a wreck on I-75, I-85, and I-20.
Crime in Atlanta is really bad. In the rest of Georgia, people carry guns to hunt. In Atlanta, they need them to protect themselves. It's not off the charts dangerous, but it's always in the top 25 for some various crime-related statistic. Georgia people are their own breed. It's far less God-fearing, far less conservative than it used to be. It's actually about to be the 10th most diverse state in terms of race. Good old Southern hospitality still reigns here in many places, and because Atlanta's grown so fast, the state's diversifying its economy as well. This is no longer primarily a farming state, people. Okay, so that's pretty much Georgia in a nutshell. Now, we could have gone on and on about this fine state. We didn't have time to talk about the Georgia-Florida rivalry, or how people in Georgia hate Florida drivers, or how this state has 10 million streets called Peachtree.
But we have to go. The sun's about to come up, and we got to get in the deer stand before the deer start moving.
That fish is big, so eat the one you caught, and the rednecks here will eat the deer they shot. Never starve again, I'll just shoot another coon. Never will go hungry, they call me Daniel Boone. Putting on my camo, shoot a couple of bears or 3, then I'll make some grits and drink all of my sweet tea. Hunting's what I got, and my dinner is free. I don't have to ask anyone for charity. Come to my house, fish is what you will get served, along with grits and a side of bird. Hunting's what I got, that pig will soon get shot, that fish will soon get caught. Oh, hunting is what I got, it's where it's at. Hunting is what I got. Oh, I will cry when my deer runs away. I will get angry at the tags I have to pay. I will get angry when I miss my shot. I'll never lie about the fish that I caught. Hunting and fishing, it's all the same. Being in the woods, the only way to stay sane. Hunting will always be a part of me. Yeah. Thanks to my anonymous bro in the Macon area for helping with this video. He's lived in Georgia for a very long time and knows a lot about his awesome state. Hey guys, if you learned something new about America or what it's like to live in America, great! You should think about subscribing and turning on your notifications. You can also now buy my songs on iTunes and other formats. Click the link in the description. While we all might have different views, we should all be nice to each other and try to make the U.S. a better place in a positive way.